under the belief that I was going to save the people of America and protect my country and to stop terrorism and defeat that. You know, the war on terror was what I joined up to go serve. And then once I became a soldier and I deployed in 2005, I became aware that I was a terrorist. And what I was doing was spreading terror to people who actually did not want me there. I went to Afghanistan, served in Helmand province, and while I was there, the atrocities that I saw really took me to a new level and a new place, but I wasn't able to actually even bring that to full-out reality until I deployed again to Afghanistan in 2010 when I was hit by a rocket-propelled grenade. I was thrown 15 to 20 feet in the air. I landed, I fractured my neck in 2 places, I bruised my brain, tore up a bunch of stuff on my back, was shot in the chest plate. And in all of that, when I got medevaced out and I was sitting in my bed for 4 days while I was in a traumatic brain injury clinic being watched, I really sat there and assessed what had happened. And inside of my heart, I knew that I could not blame the people who just about killed me and took me away from my family and the people that I loved. And I came to that realization because if somebody came to America and did the same things that we were doing there, I would defend this land and I would do what I swore to do when I joined the military and what I thought I was going to be doing when I went over there. But the trauma that comes back and we see here on our soil with our soldiers, as 22 veterans a day commit suicide, and those are the numbers directly from the VA, don't even equate to the level of the trauma that the people of Iraq and Afghanistan must be feeling every single day. We need accountability for what has happened. We need a right to heal for the people who are there who don't have the resources that we have. You know, the VA is not a great resource. It doesn't take care of a lot of things that they need to. They throw pills at you and try to, you know, over-medicate you and have that be what takes care of your issues. But imagine the people of Iraq and Afghanistan, they don't even have that. Because the medical system that they did have in place, we completely destroyed upon occupying them. So as we go forward and we look at trying to heal our people here, when we're looking at all these slogans that they sell us on, trying to support the troops and do what's right, well, all the troops that I know, when I was in Afghanistan the last time, I was in charge of 25 soldiers. Out of those 25 soldiers I was with, 23 of them all wanted us to come home and leave. And the other 2 were undecided. They didn't know one way or another which way that they wanted to go. So we sat and talked about it numerous times. So if you actually support the troops and you support us as veterans, listen, go out and talk to the people who've actually been there, go out and experience this, realize that what we're doing is spreading hate, or making us less safe here. Terror is going to come back, blowback is going to happen if we do not stop the occupations of these other lands and we don't start fixing ourselves here. We can start doing that by not worrying about going over and taking the resources of another country, ruining their infrastructure, and worrying about healing ourselves here and the veterans that come back and holding those accountable that send us to wars for false information based on lies. Thank you all.
Thank you. My name is Salam, and I came here in 2005, and still since 2005 till now, I still see the same story over and over and over, which is more Iraqis are dying. It's just that simple. So I would like to pay my respect to the people in Boston also today, because lots of people ask me about this because I think they know how it feels. We know how it feels that when your loved ones get killed every day, people that you know, your friends, your family members, everyone. So I would ask Bush just one question. So if he can open a library here, would he think that he changed Iraq to the safest? Why he don't go and open another one in Iraq? Let's see how long that one will last. I don't think that the other one. I don't think that he even can walk into Iraq now. And even us, the Iraqis, he didn't make it safe to us to go there. He didn't make it safe to anyone, to the Americans, anyone. So why all of this? Why all those people died? What they died for? So it's all the story what's happening in Iraq. It's all the story now. Nobody talks about it. But actually for Iraqis it's real. Every day we think, can we go back even to visit? I went there 2 years ago and I said the same exact thing that the journalists, when they come, what they say, which is, I said, wow, Iraq is a new country. It's not a new country in terms of it's better, in terms of it's more destroyed. I can't recognize the streets, I can't recognize the people. It was a new country even for me. 5 years later after I went there first time. So what we are honoring here in this place here, we are honoring that somebody killed more than 150,000 people on purpose, not by accident, and he made 3 million refugees around the world, and a good 4,000 American lives, plus 22 a day. Imagine 22 a day people just commit suicide just for his decision of going to war. So does that person deserve a library and deserve a museum? Well, I don't think so. Because if he deserves that, then maybe Saddam deserves one as well, and that will be very bad if Saddam deserves one. So what a difference between what Iraq now, Iraq before. Iraq was really bad. Iraq has no infrastructure now. It had infrastructure before. And now I called my family 3 days ago and they said 3 hours of electricity and the streets are crowded and the food is barely exists and it's super expensive and they can't go out in the streets. So what he did, that's what he did. So we are welcoming him here today and telling him that our names and our family members will be in this library as well, or just his name. Thank you.
So my name's Ryan Hollern. I'm a member of Iraq Veterans Against the War, and I'm an active duty soldier stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. You know, as we heard a few of the stories before, you know, we're listening to the cost of war, and it's not exclusive to the veterans of the United States. It's not exclusive to coalition forces. I think one of the messages I would hope people could walk away with is that that the cost of war is felt deeply to the people of Iraq and Afghanistan. That, you know, as horrific as the moral injuries are that United States soldiers are dealing with on a regular basis, we still have the luxury of coming home from a deployment and leaving these war zones. Unfortunately, the civilians of Iraq and Afghanistan do not have that luxury, and they live in these traumatic atmospheres every day. So again, I'd like to say that a lot of these stories that you're hearing today are not unique. You know, we are not exclusive in experiencing this trauma, and that's a part of what we're doing here today. I think by opening the Bush Library behind me is an attempt of the former administration to reframe the legacy of what they had done. It's easy to change history when you're the one writing it. We're here to tell a different story. You know, through this next week, we're going to have a series of events, and dozens of organizations are expressing their distaste with this library being opened through the people's response against the George Bush Library. I can tell you that Iraq Veterans Against the War has launched a campaign in the last month, which is the Right to Heal campaign. So we talk a lot about accountability, right? That, like, I think one of the aspects of a functional democracy is actually holding your elected officials accountable. IVAW and solidarity with a number of other organizations in Iraq and here in the United States, has requested a hearing at the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. So this is an international court that is going to be hearing, basically listening to holding the United States accountable. Holding the United States, the Bush administration, the current administration accountable for war crimes and violations against humanity. So we had submitted that with the help of the Center for Constitutional Rights at Harvard Law School. It was submitted on the 19th of this last month in memory of the initial invasion of Iraq. So we hope that you can join us in support of that. I think it's one of the first times that someone's actually filed and made an attempt to hold this administration accountable. You know, as an active duty soldier, I think Chaz touched on it a little bit. A lot of us enlist for the intent of we're fulfilling this obligation of duty, and we're trying to do what we think is right, and we're misguided a lot of times. I think in this case, speaking out against the occupations, speaking out against what has been going on over the past 10 years, becoming more aware of it as we deploy multiple times into these war zones, is more of a fulfillment of my duty to the United States and my duty to humanity than I've ever done in the United States Army. You know, I'm seeing more and more soldiers on a regular basis share this sentiment. They enlist into the United States Army with a sense of duty, and more often than not, they're put into this situation because of economic injustice and put in situations where they simply need a job. And it's unfortunate these circumstances have developed a machine that can be manipulated and utilized by the people who are going to be honored in this next week by a library. So I think it's terribly unfortunate. I'm proud to be standing next to Veterans for Peace, a number of other Iraqi organizations, and you know, it's an honor to stand here and try to hold them accountable. So thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Deb Lucy, and I'm the little sister of Corporal Jeffrey Michael Lucy of the Marine Reserves. My brother was my best friend, and he had joined prior to the tragedy in September of 2001. Jeffrey was sent over to Iraq, where he was for about 6 months until he returned in July of 2003. When my brother returned, I was so excited. I had him back, he had no physical wounds. It was the best feeling to know that he was back and safe with our family. Unfortunately, I didn't know how harmful that the invisible wounds can be and deadly. Jeffrey survived about a year and unfortunately ended up succumbing to the pains of PTSD in June of 2004. My father found my brother hanging in the basement of our home. The pain is unbearable when thinking about my brother. It has been many years since he's passed, but it doesn't get any easier. We're not the only family that goes through this. Our good friends Carlos and Melita Arredondo were planning on being here today. Unfortunately, the tragedy that just occurred in Boston hit too close to home for them, so they are staying back and they won't be here. Carlos lost his first son, Alex, in the war, and then his second son succumbed to the pains again of losing a brother and a sibling, and ended up taking his own life. My heart goes out to all the families, and this doesn't just affect Americans, it affects the Iraqis, it affects everybody that war touches, and nothing can lessen those emotions. So my thoughts and feelings are that Bush and his team took my brother away from me. He took many loved ones away from many families, and I don't see how we could be honoring him. So here's my father to say a couple words.
Just want to thank everybody who invited us to come here today. One of the things that we do want to emphasize, though, is the Bush legacy is not going to be made of concrete and steel. The Bush legacy is going to be made of families that have been broken, veterans who have been maimed and killed. The Bush legacy is going to be based on so many shattered lives, broken dreams, shattered bodies. One of the things that we need to emphasize is this is still going on. we are losing 22 veterans a day. And that is on a conservative estimate. And the reason why we say it's a conservative estimate, there are many veterans that we lose to single car accidents, accidental overdoses. How many of those are really the cry to escape from pain? The VA is a broken, dysfunctional system. They demand that the veterans meet its needs. They aren't there to meet the veterans' needs. And so many of our veterans are escaping the pain and the misery at their own hand. One of the things that we would ask is that whenever you listen to us talk, we are not just telling Jeff's story. We are telling the stories of so many families who are quiet, broken, and who are lost in pain. So again, we thank you. We are so honored and humbled to be here among all of you today. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, and that's it. That's the end of the press conference. So please, if any of the press wants to speak individually with any of the speakers, you're more than welcome to do so. Thank you. Here's the VA's care for you. If you guys are wondering, that's the answer on how you help soldiers. That's taking care of soldiers right there. That's all for me. Is that going to make me healthy? Is that going to heal me, or is that going to make me a zombie, a drone that's just going to sit here and do what everyone wants me to do? Sit there and shut up and don't resist anything, because that's health. That's care.